What up, you guys? It's Danny B. You're watching the Trash Stash, and in this video I'm going to be doing my top 20 Humphrey Bogart movies. So I've been going back and watching all these old Bogart movies, and I kind of caught up on like a lot of the ones from the 40s, because I've seen all the ones from the 30s where he was just kind of like, he'd always play like a secondary character. He would never play like the lead, really. In the 40s is really when he became kind of like the leading actor in a lot of these movies and stuff. Bogart is probably my second favorite actor from the old time. Like I like Cagney is my favorite. Bogart is probably my second favorite. Then I like Edward G. Robinson and George Raft. I'm keeping a list of all the Bogart movies I've seen. I've seen 45 of them. There is some major ones I haven't seen, like I haven't seen the Cane Mutiny yet. Before we get into the list, I want to give a couple honorable mentions. I want to give a mention to The African Queen. I like that one enough, but it didn't make my top 20. The Desperate Hours, I want to give an honorable mention to that. That was a good one. I wouldn't say it's his best, though. And Angels with Dirty Faces, that's one of my all-time favorite movies that has Bogart in it, but he has such a small part in it that it didn't make the list. That's another thing. Like, some of the movies on this I like better than any of them, but they're not so much a Bogart movie. Like, Bogart was in, like, a lot of these old movies where he just kind of had, like, a minor role. Like, The Roaring Twenties, for example, is more a Cagney movie. Bogart's in it. He has a decent part in it, But yeah, here we go. Here's my top 20. Coming up at number 20 is going to be Bullets or Ballots. This one, Bogart really isn't in it that much either, but I just love his character so much. This is like Bogart playing Scarface, basically. This is much more of an Edward G. Robinson movie, but Bogart plays a guy named Bugs Fenner, and then like the stuff he does in the movie is like almost identical to what Scarface does. Like he goes over his boss's head. So if you ever wanted to see Scarface starring Humphrey Bogart, this is the closest you're gonna get is Bullets or Ballots. It's a great movie. All right, coming up at number 19 is You Can't Get Away with Murder. Bogart has a pretty decent sized part. This is more of a Billy Hallup vehicle from the Dead End Kids, but Bogart plays the bad guy, and he has actually like as much screen time as Billy Hallup in this one. He's kind of a shady character, shady gangster that frames his kid for murder because he doesn't want to take the murder rap. All right, number 18 is going to be Sirocco, and this was a good one. Almost like it almost feels like a sequel to Casablanca. I haven't seen this one in a while, so I don't want to say it's the exact same plot as Casablanca, but it's pretty much like a Casablanca type of movie. I haven't seen it in a while. I got to revisit that one. But number 18, Sirocco. I remember it being pretty good. All right, coming up at number 17 is The Maltese Falcon. And, you know, this would probably be number one on a lot of people's lists. I've never been that much into it. I really like the character, but I'm not that crazy about the story. And also, I'm not such a John Huston fan. Like, John Huston, to me, feels like Spielberg before Spielberg, and I'm not that crazy about Steven Spielberg either. It's a pretty good movie, but it's just not my favorite. The Maltese Falcon at number 17. All right, coming up at number 16 is Knock on Any Door. Bogart plays a lawyer in this, and he's like trying to prove his kid's innocence, and it keeps flashing back to the kid's past, like what got him in trouble and stuff. This is another one kind of like You Can't Get Away with Murder, where like Bogart shares the screen as much as that the kid, the guy playing the kid. But yeah, this was a really good one. I just watched it for the first time last night. It made the list. All right, coming up at number 15 is The Harder They Fall. This was Bogart's last movie. He plays kind of like a down and out sports writer, and he's trying to like promote this boxer who really can't fight at all, but the mob is setting up other people to take the fall. And Bogart kind of knows what they're doing is wrong, and like he kind of plays like a quintessential Bogart part where he has to kind of like be like the good guy at the end and like kind of save the day. But yeah, it's pretty tragic that it's his last movie, because if you watch his movie, he still has a lot of life left in him, and it's pretty sad that he died. And he was still at the top of his game even when this was made. And also, Rod Steiger in this movie is awesome. He really kind of shocked me with his performance. All right, coming up at number 14 is San Quentin. This is one of his first leading roles. He kind of shares the screen as much with Pat O'Brien, and it's kind of like a he goes to prison and Pat O'Brien is the warden, and Pat O'Brien kind of knows he's innocent. Or maybe not innocent, but he kind of has, he's like, he knows that this guy deep down is a good person. It's been a while since I watched this one, but I remember really liking it. Hey, coming up at number 13 is his breakout role, The Petrified Forest. A lot of people say this was his first lead role, but I think he actually did do a movie that he was the lead of right before this, but it wasn't as good as this. And he's basically playing John Dillinger in this. He's playing Duke Mantee. But yeah, he's great in this movie. The whole thing is like they're being held hostage until he can get away. Everyone's kind of like discussing their social issues around him and stuff, and he's just kind of listening to it and commenting on it. But everything he says is pretty hilarious. Like, they like make a whole argument and then ask him what he thinks, and he goes, well, I'm sorry, I wasn't listening. All right, coming up at number 12 is Key Largo. And I like this one. This is a John Huston movie. Like I said, I'm not that crazy about John Huston, but this was a good one. I would say Edward G. Robinson kind of has the better performance in the movie. Bogart's being held hostage the whole time. So if this was an Edward G. Robinson list, this would probably be higher up. But yeah, this was a good one. Lauren Bacall's in this too. All right, coming up at number 11 is The Treasure of the Sierra Madre. And a lot of people would put, a lot of people would put this at number 1. I really loved this one the first time I watched it. Then I watched it 2 or 3 times, and it kind of wore off by the 3rd time. So that's why it's a little bit lower on the list. But yeah, this is a good one. He's basically playing a bum in Mexico, and then he makes friends with another bum, and they go searching for gold. And it's kind of like a tale of how, some things are worth more than money. Life experience is worth more than money. Greed is overrated. Bogart really kind of loses his mind in this one. That's fun to watch. All right, coming up at number 10. And honestly, I was debating putting Treasure of the Sierra Madre over this one, because this is not that great of a movie, but I just really love it. One of my favorite from the old Warner Brothers days, Bogart in The Big Shot. I really think this movie's kind of underrated. Bogart's in the lead role. He's kind of like a washed up gangster. Like, he's had too many convictions where he can't do his crime anymore, and he can't get a regular job either because of his record. So he's kind of caught in the middle. It's all about life choices and doing the right thing. And this is an underrated one, The Big Shot. Check it out if you can find it. I got an old archive DVD, so search for it on DVD if you can't find it anywhere else. Hey, coming up at number 9 is The Big Sleep. And I want to mention that this is the theatrical version that I'm putting on here. I got to check out, there's 2 versions of this movie where one makes a lot of sense and the theatrical one doesn't make a lot of sense. It's almost like the same thing as Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers, where like the producer's cut makes more sense as a story, but a lot of people love the theatrical cut because it's more entertaining. So I got to check out the other cut where it makes more sense, but I have a feeling I probably would like the theatrical better. And I guess if you really piece the puzzles together, you could kind of like piece together what's going on, but it's a very, very convoluted Noir movie. But yeah, I like this one a lot better than The Maltese Falcon. He almost plays the same kind of character, except he's just like super wisecracking, and Lauren Bacall's in this one too. All right, coming up at number 8 is Across the Pacific, and this is my favorite of all the John Huston Bogart collaborations. This one, he's basically playing the same character from The Maltese Falcon. He's basically playing Sam Spade. He's going on a ship. He's trying to solve who's like a spy and why someone's trying to assassinate this guy in the ship. And it kind of turns into like an action-packed movie, honestly. And then I guess Vincent Sherman co-directed this movie or took over when John Huston went to the army. I almost like his style directing better than John Huston, so that was a plus for me. All right, coming up at number 7 is Casablanca. And I know a lot of people would put this one as their number 1. It's not my favorite, but I do love this movie. Classic movie where a guy, he kind of has he sticks his neck out for no one, as he says, and then spoiler alert, but then at the end he turns around and he does the right thing. So it's a very kind of like moving performance because like you can tell this guy is deeply hurt by this girl betraying him, but he understands why she did it and helps her get out of the country. And then Claude Rains is underrated in this too. Claude Rains, you know, the Invisible Man and a lot of other movies. He's hilarious in this. And then you got Peter Lorre in a little part, and Sydney Greenstreet. That's one criticism I do have about this movie is I feel like Ingrid Bergman and Humphrey Bogart, like their chemistry as romantic isn't as good as him and Bacall, obviously, because, you know, he married Bacall in real life. But that's kind of like a minor gripe. Yeah, Casablanca, number 7. All right, coming up at number 6 is To Have and Have Not. And this is almost the same story as Casablanca with him and Lauren Bacall. The big difference in this one is Rick from Casablanca sticks his neck out for nobody. Bogart in this movie sticks his neck out for pretty much everyone. So that's why I liked it a little better, is I liked his character a little better. Like, he's really kind of going out of his way for everyone and to protect his alcoholic best friend. And then the on-screen chemistry between him and Bacall is way better than him and Ingrid Bergman. Yeah, this is kind of like the tougher version of Casablanca. Hey, coming up at number 5 is an absolutely underrated masterpiece, Dead End. I don't want to say he's the lead because this is kind of like an ensemble cast, but he has a very big part in this. He's like one of the standout roles in it. This also has the Dead End Kids, which gave them their big break. They went on to be in like several other movies. They're kind of like the gangster little rascals. They're a lot of fun to watch. And then Bogart and Alan Jenkins, the two gangsters. Sylvia Sidney's in this as the sister, and this is kind of like a tale of like people in the ghetto and like what they're going through on a daily basis. You got all these rich people moving into their neighborhood, and like it's making it harder for them. And sadly, I don't think there's a Blu-ray of this movie. So, you know, Criterion or Vinegar Syndrome or somebody, put this one on Blu-ray, please. The sets and the cinematography in this movie are awesome. Like, it's the whole opening has like this awesome miniature where it's like the camera's going up and it's like the whole neighborhood, all the, you know, high rises and stuff. Number 5, Dead End. All right, coming up at number 4 is going to be In a Lonely Place. Yeah, Bogart's awesome in this movie. Is kind of like a down and out Hollywood writer. He's an alcoholic, and he's suspected of murder. He has these huge temper fits. So like you don't know if he's capable of killing someone or not. So it's like kind of like a love story, but then the police kind of always are like on his case and then like, yeah, did you murder someone? But yeah, he's really funny in this movie. And then like when it's time with like the police interrogations, he gets really creepy. Like they put the creepy shadows on his face. He just looks evil. And I would say besides Lauren Bacall, the actress in this, what was her name? Gloria Graham. Him and Gloria Graham have like really good chemistry. I almost kind of wonder if maybe they liked each other or something because it felt like really natural. Whereas like in Casablanca, him and Ingrid Bergman, I could tell they're just like playing their parts and not. Even with him and Katharine Hepburn and the African Queen, I could tell like, all right, they're just, you know, doing their job. Here it actually felt like they were in love, so I don't know. All right, coming up at number 3 is going to be All Through the Night. This was my number 1 for a long time, but I just decided to put it at number 3 over these other ones that I just kind of recently watched. But yeah, this is such a hilarious movie. This is, I believe, his last leading gangster role. This is him as a gangster named Gloves Donahue, who's going after the Nazis for killing his favorite cheesecake baker. You know, it's meant to be a comedy. It's meant to be ridiculous. But it actually does have some good cinematography. Like, the shadows they put on Peter Lorre in this movie are really good and creepy. The dialogue in this movie just cracks me up. He walks into the cafe and they got the toy soldiers all on the table. And he goes like, what's this? Second childhood, eh? He goes, no, we're just telling each other how England can win the war. And then he goes, I can't be bothered. That's Washington's racket. Just like lots of like really funny dialogue in this movie. So that's All Through the Night, ridiculous fun movie. All right, coming up at number 2 is going to be Dark Passage. This one also co-stars Lauren Bacall. It kind of surprises me that it's this high up on the list because you don't see Humphrey Bogart's face until like halfway through the movie. It's all done. It's such a cool movie. It's all done like through point of view cameras. You know, kind of like Michael Myers in the opening scene of Halloween. And he's an escaped convict. The reason they didn't show his face is because he's supposed to look like someone else, and then he gets plastic surgery, and that's a whole crazy scene. And then after that, you see him with bandages on, running around like the fucking Invisible Man. And like, there's a funny scene where he's like running up the stairs with the bandages, like some drunk guy's like, "Hey, bud, rough night, huh?" It's a pretty ridiculous movie, but it's really cool and well done. And yeah, I just really love this one. Dark Passage at number 2. And coming up at number 1 is going to be Dead Reckoning. This is a noir movie. It's almost like The Big Sleep and The Maltese Falcon. He's playing the same kind of character. He's not playing a detective. He's playing a soldier who's trying to figure out who killed his best friend. But this is such a, like, Pulp Fiction-ish type of movie that I just loved it. First of all, the cinematography in this movie is awesome. It's like very like shadowy and noirish. The whole movie you get a voiceover from Humphrey Bogart explaining everything that's going on and like how he's feeling about every situation. It's got like ridiculous dialogue. The dialogue is so like comic bookish, ridiculous, but it's awesome at the same time. Like, for example, he goes to dance with his best friend's girlfriend, and she doesn't know he's dead supposedly, so he's like wants to test it out. So he goes like, "I wanted to have my hand on her spine so I could feel if there's any shock when I told her the news." And then he tells her the news, and then he goes like, "Her whole body went limp when I slugged her with it." Yeah, it's just a really awesome movie. I really enjoyed this one. Dead Reckoning at number 1. My only complaint is that the lead actress, Elizabeth Scott, she's so much like Lauren Bacall that it's such a shame that Lauren Bacall wasn't in this role, because that would have been my favorite of all their collaborations. What I heard is they wanted to have Ava Gardner be the lead actress, but she didn't do it or something. And they couldn't get Lauren Bacall because she still had her contract with Warner Brothers. So Elizabeth Scott, she was pretty good in this, but it is kind of noticeable that she's like very much like Lauren Bacall in this. Maybe it's just a coincidence, but I don't think so. But yeah, Dead Reckoning deserves more recognition. And yeah, it's just awesome. You got Bogart battling gangsters, throwing dice, throwing grenades at one part. And also this movie is like basically is just as convoluted as The Big Sleep, but it actually does make sense, where that one you really gotta go like, I don't know if they really tied everything up in The Big Sleep. In this one, they tie everything up. And Bogart's performance is top notch. Even though he knows that this movie is kind of ridiculous, he's still giving it everything. Yeah, awesome movie. Dead Reckoning at number 1. Real quick, I'll name all the other ones I've seen too. Seen 3 on a Match. He's barely in that. Racket Busters, that kind of sucked. Black Legion, he's the lead role in that, but I didn't really like that movie because he basically joins the Ku Klux Klan in that. So I was like, I don't want to see Bogart in the KKK. Action in the North Atlantic. That one I maybe got to give a second chance to, because I was on my phone the whole time when I was watching that. High Sierra. I've never been a big fan of that one. That's another John Huston script. And to me, I don't know. I always thought that movie was kind of corny. High Sierra. The Return of Dr. X. Bogart is a fucking vampire. I think it's his only horror movies ever made. It's not a good movie, but it is funny to see him as like a creep, but he's got like a shiny face. I don't know what they put on his face. The Great O'Malley, I gotta rewatch that one. That's a good one. He's only in it a little bit, but that's a Pat O'Brien as a cop, and he sends Bogart to prison or something like that. Sabrina, it's a good enough movie, but it just wasn't my thing. It's more of like a romantic comedy. Brother Orchid is a good one, but that's more of an Edward G. Robinson movie, and Bogart, I think he's hardly in it, but he plays the bad guy in it. Angels with Dirty Faces, classic. That would be my number 1 on a Cagney list, but for Bogart, it's number 36. Kid Galahad, I gotta rewatch that one. Bogart's like a really mean gangster, and Edward G. Robinson is like promoting a boxer, and Betty Davis is in it. More of a Edward G. Robinson, Betty Davis movie. Marked Woman, I gotta rewatch that one. I haven't seen that one in a couple years. Betty Davis is a prostitute who's like snitching on the gangster who's supposed to be Lucky Luciano, I believe. Tokyo Joe. I haven't seen that one in a long time. I remember not being that crazy about it. He's back from the war and he wants to rekindle his relationship, but she's married now or something like that. Sahara, that was a good one, but it just wasn't my favorite. Kind of like more of like a war movie. King in the Underworld, I haven't seen in years. Bogart, it's almost like a Petrified Forest type of thing, where he's a gangster who's like really stupid and he's obsessed with Napoleon. That's only an hour long too, but yeah, I gotta rewatch that one. Desperate Hours, I liked it. Lower on the list. I just felt like, I don't know, that movie's a little too dark for my taste, but yeah, it was a good one. They Drive by Night, that's a good one. More of a George Raft vehicle. Bogart plays his brother in it. George Raft and him made some good, like they had good chemistry. I kind of wish they did more than 2 movies together. It All Came True. That's a fun, that's an underrated Bogart movie. He is in it a lot, but it's just the movie overall isn't as good as what he would later do. But yeah, I gotta rewatch that one. I haven't seen that one in a while. Crime School has Bogart as the lead and the Dead End Kids. The problem with this one is it's a remake of The Mayor of Hell with James Cagney. That movie is so much better than this one. The Amazing Dr. Clitterhouse. That's another John Huston script. I wasn't crazy about it. I felt like it was a little bit corny, but yeah, it's more of an Edward G. Robinson movie anyways. Bogart's in it a lot, I believe. But yeah, it's a guy, a doctor who goes undercover as a gangster, and he's trying to learn like what makes these guys greedy or something like that. Invisible Stripes, that was a good George Raft movie. I don't remember how much Bogart's in that. I haven't seen that one in a while. That's a decent one though. The Two Miss Carols, Bogart does kill his first wife and now wants to kill his second wife because he falls in love again. It's just divorcing her, or he wants to poison her. It wasn't that great. It also has Barbara Stanwyck. Conflict, almost the same kind of movie, but done a little better, where it's almost like the original version of Vertigo, where he kills his wife but then keeps seeing her all over the place. Yeah, it's like he's chasing a ghost almost. That was a decent one. I might pick that one up on DVD. The African Queen. I like Bogart in this a lot, and Katharine Hepburn. It's a cute movie, but it's just not enough. I didn't like it enough to make the top 20. It is number 22 though. It almost made the list. And The Roaring Twenties at number 21. That almost made the list. Knock on Any Door actually pushed that one up because I watched that one last night and I was like, oh, this is a really good Bogart performance. So had to bump The Roaring Twenties down, but I love that movie. And if that was a Cagney list, that would be way high up in the list, maybe number 2. All right, guys, so that's going to do it. Let me know your favorite Bogart movies. Let me know if there's any other good ones that I missed. I know I still got to see The Kane Mutiny and probably a couple others. Hit the like button, comment, and subscribe. Peace out.